This week's Key Stage 3 English Remote Learning continues the topic of discoveries, and our focus is creating mystery and atmosphere, or in other words, the feelings and emotions the reader gets as they read, and the sense of being unable to explain certain events. We're going to approach this through the text The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. Remember, you can pause and rewind this presentation as you work through the booklet. The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe is part of a children's fantasy series published between 1950 and 1956. This book is the first in the series and tells the story of four siblings, Lucy, Edmund, Peter and Susan Pevensey, who were evacuated to the safety of the countryside during World War II. When they're exploring the house, they discover a room with a wardrobe, and Lucy decides to look inside, where she discovers another world. For your first activity, read the information on the context or the background to the text and complete the 3 activities based on this information. Now you're going to read an extract from Chapter 1 of the text. Read carefully, noting down any words you aren't familiar with. You can look up the definition to help your understanding. As you read, make notes on how the author creates mystery and atmosphere. We're going to concentrate on the use of verbs now, and how the choice of verbs to describe Lucy's actions help to create mystery and atmosphere. We're going to look particularly at paragraphs 3 to 6. We go with Lucy as she stepped into the wardrobe, rubbed her face against the coats, and stooped down to touch the ground. By selecting these verbs rather than walking into the wardrobe, touching the coats, and bending to touch the ground, there is a greater sense of mystery and atmosphere. For Activity 3, have a go at up-levelling the 5 verbs to make them more ambitious and interesting. Use a thesaurus to help if you have one. An example for each has been done for you. Now we'd like you to write 3 sentences that include 5 different atmospheres. So you could try mystery, fear, darkness, and maybe excitement and happiness. Be creative and use the sentence starter if it helps. Notice the verbs I've underlined. I've used appeared as an alternative to looked and sensed instead of thought. As an extra challenge, try to modify the verbs you use. How is the action carried out? Look at the examples I've done. Cautiously crept, laughed hysterically, gasped inaudibly, wept silently. They all add extra information which gives more depth to your writing. This week's final activity is creative writing. Here are some things to consider. Setting. Think about the type of atmosphere you want to create and make sure your setting reflects this. For example, an abandoned house makes an effective scary setting. C.S. Lewis created Narnia as a cold, wintry place to build mystery and an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Senses. Think about what your character can see, hear, smell, touch and taste. Think back to Lucy and how she both felt and heard the crunch, crunch of snow under her feet. This is a great writing device and helps to create mystery and atmosphere. As we've already seen, the choice of verbs can really help to create mystery and atmosphere. Think about Velma from Scooby-Doo. She doesn't just walk, she tiptoes. Foreshadowing, or giving hints and clues about what will happen later in the text, is a great method of creating mystery and atmosphere too. Think about the fur coats in the wardrobe before Lucy stepped into the snow of Narnia. As you learned last week, the effective use of punctuation makes your writing even better. Try using a range of different punctuation to help build atmosphere. Look at how the use of dialogue, highlighted in red with the speech marks, the exclamation mark and question mark highlighted in yellow, adds to the mystery and atmosphere by allowing us, the reader, to sense Lucy's confusion and shock. Finally, using a variety of sentences can also help to build mystery and atmosphere by speeding up and slowing down the pace of your writing. Highlighted in yellow, we have the long compound sentence to illustrate the mystery, followed by a shorter sentence which adds to the sense of uncertainty. We still don't know if it's snow that's falling on Lucy. Here's a summary of the last few slides, which you can use as a checklist when you do your creative writing. So for your final activity this week, you're going to do a piece of writing where you create a mysterious atmosphere. You might want to use your ideas from activity 4 as a starting point. Similarly, you could use the character you created 2 weeks ago, or if you prefer, just create new ideas. We would recommend that you spend 5 minutes planning and then about 30 to 40 minutes writing. If you've enjoyed this week's topic, you might want to watch the 1988 film or read more of the books in the Chronicles of Narnia series. Good luck with your writing. We're looking forward to reading your work.